And we'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. We'll go to Bob, Cameron, and Jacob.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. It's the first time the 6 has been in victory lane since 2011. So I'm curious if that means anything to you just from a historical sense.
Yes and no. I'm not a huge numerology guy, but it's still a historic number in the sport. All the single-digit numbers, I think, in NASCAR kind of have this legend to them. So it's nice to get it back in victory lane. There's a lot of things to be excited about, so it's really hard to pick one over another, right? Whether it be just winning as a whole, winning at Darlington, winning and locking into the playoffs, winning with my family here, winning on Mother's Day. I don't know how to pick which one means the most, but they all mean a lot, I can tell you that. So it's good for Jack to have been here too. Sure, I'm missing. Good for Ford, first win with the dark horse, and they've had a rough go the last few months. So there's a lot to be excited, a lot to like about it. Not sure I know how to scale it, Bob. Which ones are more than others?
And obviously Busher was not the happiest after this one, and I'm curious, we were talking to him, does he need to race any, dirtier or anything to get a win? And so what would you tell him if he asked you that, or people said he needs to be a little bit more not as polite?
Chris has his style, and it's worked really, really well for him. I don't think Chris needs to change a darn thing about what he does. It might not have worked out today, but there's other days where it works for him. And makes him what he is, makes him special, makes him good. I hated I didn't get the result out of it. I know he had some damage on the car, and that was holding him back a little bit. And so he wasn't able to drive away like you would assume a leader would do in a situation like that. But I thought he did a great job of putting himself in position to not get a result, I'm sure. It's hard to stomach. And it should be hard to stomach. That's what you want out of your driver, right? You want him to be upset when he doesn't win. I would say, Chris isn't sitting in front of me now, but I would tell him, just keep being Chris. Keep doing what you do.
Go to Cameron, and then Jacob.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. Brad, you've had a lot of important wins, monumental wins in your career. Just where does this one rank for you personally, for your driving career, given the last 2-3 years where you went without a win?
Yeah, ranking wins is hard. Your first win is always really special, and there's these other moments in between. Winning here in 18 and sweeping the weekend was awesome. That's one of the best weekends of my life. I remember coming home from that and thinking, this is as good as it gets, right? And then you have other wins that you mean a little less. You're like, oh, I kind of feel guilty about that, right? I don't want to take those for granted. But Darlington, to me, has its own thing about it, its own mystique, where it's always been like this really tough driver's track. And, to win here multiple times kind of puts you in a crowd of drivers that I think most of us would recognize as elite. And so, it feels really good because not what it means, whether it be the fame or the money or all that, and not really even about other people cheering and being excited. I'm glad my fans are happy, and I think that's awesome. But it's like a self-respect thing when you win at Darlington, right? Because as a driver, we all know when we come here how tough this place is. And when you win here, like as a driver, and you know what it means, it's like you almost respect yourself, right? And that sounds kind of egotistical as I'm saying it, but I don't know how else to say it. But there are certain wins that you just look back on a driver's career, and they look back on a driver's career, and they say, this one means a lot to me personally because I know what Darlington is. I know what it means to the sport. I know what it means to win here. And I'm glad to be on that list multiple times.